Hello, I'm Doug McConnell, and we've got some great discoveries for you out here along the open road.
We'll discover picturesque places, wide open spaces, and big, beautiful vistas along the Bay Area Ridge Trail.
Beautiful vistas and views are one of the best parts of the Ridge Trail.
We'll visit a brand new trail accessible to all, including our very own Doug McConnell. And we'll see some of the newest parks and open spaces preserved and protected for all of us by Save Mount Diablo. Traversing a vast network of breathtaking landscapes and environments, the Ridge Trail weaves its way through some of the best of the Bay Area.
Rolling grasslands, redwood forests, just every imaginable landscape, and really urban areas, and then really remote, wild wilderness areas as well.
The ultimate goal, a 550-mile connected loop trail that traces the ridgelines around the entire San Francisco Bay.
And today, just over 400 miles are open, and so there's another 150 miles that are planned, ultimately to make the full connected loop.
And big monster vistas everywhere you go.
Beautiful vistas and views are one of the best parts of the Ridge Trail.
According to Bay Area Ridge Trail Council Executive Director Janet McBride, the variety of views and adventures along the Ridge Trail are limitless.
Once you get there, then you could travel a short distance or travel a long distance.
From multi-day epic treks to short day hikes to easy strolls along one of their many accessible trails, such as this spot called the All Peoples Trail, about 50 miles northeast of San Francisco near the city of Fairfield in Solano County.
These accessible trails are really important because we want everybody to be able to enjoy the Ridge Trail. People of all ages, all abilities, all backgrounds, we want it to be for everyone.
And at least for now, everyone includes someone very near and dear to me and probably to many of you viewers as well. Our very own Open Road host, Doug McConnell.
So Doug, it's so good to have you out here after this whole season gone by. So this is great.
Danny, I'm so lucky to be out here with you and Nicole and with Janet to celebrate this brand new trail that I get to see for the first time.
As you may know, Doug has been recovering from a stroke and some associated complications that have left him with some mobility challenges. But fortunately, he was able to join us for the very last shoot of the season.
For me, this is an epic adventure.
Yes.
Back to a place that I know some, that I love, with people that I love to be with a team that I love to work with, and to have nature give me some healing today here outside.
The trail is part of a 1,500-acre park, scheduled to open to the public in late 2023. It's a joint project involving a multitude of funders and agencies, including the State Coastal Conservancy, the Ridge Trail, and Solano Land Trust. Nicole Braddock is the executive director.
This place, it's called Pawino Wartla Kadoy Dihi Open Space Park. This property was a ranch for many, many years, then it was slated for development.
Solano Land Trust acquired the property in 2012 and has spent over a decade raising money and developing the land, which will include over 12 miles of trails and an array of amenities, including kiosks and signage about the indigenous people who once inhabited this land and whose descendants still live in the area.
And so we talked to the local tribe about potentially naming the property because we really wanted to be able to use this property as a legacy to recognize and lift up the Native people.
The park will include a variety of terrain for hiking and biking, offer beautiful views of Sassoon Valley, Mount Diablo, and the San Pablo Bay, and will also include a brand new 2-mile stretch of the Ridge Trail.
So the Ridge Trail here in this park is actually going to be named the Doris Klein Ridge Trail, and it's named after a woman who is a founder of the Ridge Trail and also just a tireless volunteer and advocate in Solano County.
And so Dan, for you to come out here and see this territory, to meet Nicole, to spend time with Janet, what's your sense of this place?
Well, it's a beautiful place. I mean, it's you know, this trail is wonderful. I was able to hike it a little bit last time I was here, and it's, you know, got amazing views and beautiful wildlife and trees. And we saw some golden eagles last time I was here, which was really neat. But more than anything, I mean, for me, the headline is having you here, and you know, you and I have traveled and told stories for, you know, 30 years.
30 years together.
And you know, we missed you this year, and it's really, I'm just really happy to have you back out here. I really am, man.
I have missed you too. I've missed all of our times together, but today I get a chance to be part of it, get to be with you again, get to be with Jordan, who's doing the filming here, this wonderful team that has worked together for so many years, and now on to new adventures.
All right.
All
Well,
right,
have a great adventure.
I will. Thank you. Oh, thank you, kid.
Good to see you.
And thank you for what you're doing. Good to see you.
All right, let's do this.
All right, guys. Janet, it is so good to be with you. Danny, with you.
The trail starts adjacent to the parking lot, an intentional touch to allow those with disabilities to easily access the trailhead. The rockline trail is smooth, gently graded, and easy to navigate, with benches and other spots to sit and rest every few hundred feet.
Doug, tell us, I mean, I'm curious to know your thoughts and your feelings. You know, it's been a year without you, which has been tough for all of us, and I know for you. And you know, this is your first time coming back and first time on a real outdoor trail like this. What are the feelings and thoughts?
It is a gift of the gods somehow, Dan. Just to be able to come back, be with you, be with Janet, whom I've known for a very long time, followed the Ridge Trail for all these decades, and to be here in this beautiful spot on this trail with you guys and Nicole and others is, we've been yearning for it, and now I have a chance to be out here. It's like, all these breezes, it's many breaths of fresh air, you know, much joy. I'm home. And then to have this, for me at this moment in my life, with you two out here, is, how special could that be? It doesn't get much better than that.
And Doug's not the only one who feels that way.
I can't wait to see all the people out here enjoying this open space. It's just going to be beautiful.
Wanda Williams is a Solano County supervisor and a former Solano Land Trust employee. She was instrumental in getting this accessible trail built to honor her sons, who both had Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
My son Michael and David Williams, they're no longer with me. They have now passed on. But they were my inspiration for why I wanted to volunteer my time with Solano Land Trust. I feel like their legacy lives on through this park.
So on we go, up the hill.
We continue on, enjoying the wide open spaces and the shade provided by the plentiful and picturesque oak trees.
This is beautiful in the trees here. This is great.
And just over a half mile from the parking lot, we arrive at the end of the trail.
The big finish.
Aha! Dan, thanks for the push. Holy
my
cow.
pleasure.
The view down to the Sassoon Valley below is beautiful, a fitting finish to this little adventure, leading to big and lasting memories for all of us.
Beautiful trail, beautiful view, great people. Holy cow.
We did it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for making that possible. Holy cow. Wow, 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 wow.
When we come back, more scenic and accessible trails, wildlife and wild places, and Doug McConnell is back with some final thoughts.
For me, I'll continue to be out here however I am able.
OpenRoad is made possible by the generous support of our underwriters, dedicated to protecting our natural and historical treasures in the Bay Area and beyond. Additional support is provided by these institutions, also caring for our special environmental and cultural legacies and making them accessible to each and every one of us, now and for all time.
Joining me once again is Janet McBride. Janet is the Executive Director of the Bay Area Ridge Trail Council. Janet, you were in the show earlier, but for those folks who might not have seen that segment, why don't you remind us, what is the Bay Area Ridge Trail and what do you guys do?
Sure. The Bay Area Ridge Trail is a hiking, biking, and equestrian trail that runs along the ridgeline surrounding San Francisco Bay, and it exists today, and we're working to close all the gaps so that it's completely connected.
Great, and I know there's the ultimate goal is 550 miles. You got about 400 already established. And among those trails, there are a number of them, like earlier in the show, that are accessible to folks of all abilities. And you're going to tell me about 3 of those today. You're going to tell me about one on the top of Mount Umunhum down in the South Bay, one that is off of the Berryessa BART station. But you're going to start with Coyote Ridge Open Space Preserve, a little south of San Jose. So why don't you tell me about that place?
Right. The official name is Mayan Oyakma Coyote Ridge Open Space Preserve, and it's going to be a brand new 1,900-acre preserve. There's going to be an accessible loop trail there from the staging area. There's going to be viewing points, interpretive displays, and a community gathering space. So it's going to be a great accessible trail. The new preserve is also going to host 4 miles of ridge trail, and you're going to get to see great wildlife, beautiful wildflower displays, and from that place you can look across the valley and see Mount Umunhum.
Mount Umunhum. So Mount Umunhum is one of the highest peaks on the Ridge Trail, and you have another accessible trail up there.
Right. So at the summit, there's an accessible loop trail. The Mount Umunhum is about 3,500 feet. It is the tallest part on the main spine of the Ridge Trail, and it's a very special place. It's actually a sacred place to the native peoples. The name Mount Umunhum means resting place of the hummingbird, but there's interpretive displays there that talk about the natural history, the cultural history. There's actually fascinating military history there as well.
Yeah, it's a really interesting place. It's full of fascinating history and stories and wildlife, and a really unexpected place. Now, one more place, I think it's called Penitentiary Creek Trail, and you can access that from a BART station a little north of San Jose. Is that right?
That's right. A new BART station opened. It's called the Berryessa BART station. It opened in 2020. And you can travel from anywhere that the BART system runs. You can step off the train platform at the Berryessa BART station, and you can step directly onto the Ridge Trail. And from there, you'll see beautiful wayfinding signs that will direct you right to the Penitentiary Creek County Park, which is right adjacent to the BART station. From there, there's a mostly flat linear parkway trail that runs from Penitentiary Creek County Park all the way to the historic Alum Rock Park, about 4 miles to the east. So it truly is transit to trails and trail to transit.
So truly accessible really to anyone in the Bay Area via public transportation, but also accessible, like all these other trails, to folks of all abilities. Janet, these are great suggestions. Thank you for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Happy trails.
When we come back, newly protected wildlife and wild lands, and some final thoughts from our very own Doug McConnell. Since 1971, Save Mount Diablo has been protecting open space on and around Mount Diablo. To date, they and their partners have helped to create more than 50 parks and preserves and protected over 120,000 acres. And joining me now is Ted Clement. Ted is the Executive Director of Save Mount Diablo. Ted, thank you for joining us today. For starters, let's talk about why Save Mount Diablo was established in the first place. Why was it necessary to start an organization like this?
Thanks, Dan. Save Mount Diablo is a nationally accredited not-for-profit land trust founded in 1971 because our founders understood that Mount Diablo is filled with incredible natural resources, and they also understood that the Bay Area would be growing, putting at risk those incredible natural lands and natural resources.
And it makes perfect sense. I mean, these great open spaces, especially Mount Diablo, is really one of the reasons people want to live here in the first place. Let's talk a little bit about, what's going on lately. Tell me what's one of your newest projects?
We have a lot of exciting projects. One of them is the Crane Pond Acquisition Project. On Mount Diablo is something we call the missing mile. It's roughly a square mile of open space lands owned by private landowners that are largely not yet protected or developed. So we've been trying to protect lands in that missing mile. Crane Pond is one. It has one of the largest ponds on the north side of Mount Diablo. It is contiguous with Mount Diablo State Park because of its water resources, incredibly important for wildlife. And we have to raise $500,000 by October to protect that land.
Well, that's exciting news to think about protecting even more space up there, and it sounds beautiful. Talk a little bit about, if you would, the fact that most of the years you've been working and protecting land has been sort of on and around Mount Diablo itself, and now your mission, your geographic area that you're protecting is really expanding to the entire Diablo Range. So talk a little bit about what is the Diablo Range, where is it, and why is it so important to protect and expand the area that you are protecting?
So Mount Diablo is on the northern part of the Diablo Range, this incredible 200-mile-long mountain range that extends through 12 counties. We've now expanded our geographic scope all the way down to San Benito County. This is all especially important in the time of the climate crisis as we try to protect the integrity of this natural system so it can be more resilient. The Diablo Range has incredible biodiversity. For example, it has the largest concentration of nesting golden eagles on the planet. So we have to make sure that Mount Diablo does not get cut off from the rest of its sustaining Diablo Range due to things like overdevelopment.
That makes perfect sense. And that is an amazing fact about golden eagles. I had no idea. That's extraordinary. Talk a little bit about, if you would, give me a specific project that you're working on down that way, down in the lower part of the Diablo Range.
One of our recent projects further south in the Diablo Range is the Tesla Park area. We worked with our good partners over a few years to ensure that the Tesla Park did not become an off-road utility vehicle park like Carnegie. We were successful, and in 2021, the governor signed into law that Tesla Park is not to become an off-road vehicle park. And now we're working with our partners to ensure this area, which is over 3,000 acres in size, gets high-level protections for its important natural and cultural resources.
Well, Ted, that's so great. You're protecting more land down there. That's another win for Save Mount Diablo, another win for all of us. More protected land is always good. So thank you very much for doing that, and thanks for talking with us today.
Thank you, Dan.
When we come back, a personal message from Doug McConnell.
As I've dealt with significant challenges following a stroke.
OpenRoad is made possible by the generous support of our underwriters, dedicated to protecting our natural and historical treasures in the Bay Area and beyond. Additional support is provided by these institutions, also caring for our special environmental and cultural legacies and making them accessible to each and every one of us, now and for all time.
The Bay Area has established a rich, growing, and increasingly valuable heritage of protecting nature's treasures and their precious and vulnerable ecosystems, while also making them easily and freely accessible to all of us in every community to promote our individual and collective health and well-being. Over the past 40 years, my colleagues and I have had the pleasure of exploring many of these treasures and spotlighting people who have worked hard to protect them and open them for all of us to enjoy and benefit from. The work we have done here on television has truly been a labor of love for us. We have been extremely lucky to work this beat for so long and be inspired almost every day by grand accomplishments for nature and humanity, and by the vision, courage, and generosity demonstrated by those who have created these parks for all, forever. For me personally, I've had a lifelong passion to be outside in nature. I have felt and benefited from her healing powers in many locations here over many years. Well, that's been especially true in this past year as I've dealt with significant challenges following a stroke that primarily has affected my ability to stand and walk on my own. I have received extraordinary care from many knowledgeable, wise, and compassionate family, friends, and professional caregivers and therapists. I have worked very hard to regain my capacities, and slowly, step by step, I have and continue to make progress. Hang in there, guys. I still have a long way to go to reach my goals, but I'm determined to get there if at all possible. As I have throughout the process, I'll continue to do much of my therapy out here in public parks and open spaces. I've never been more grateful for the preservation of these healing places than I am right now. I have many people to thank for this, including all of you who have supported with your votes and your financial and volunteer contributions to establish this profoundly important legacy of nature and access here in the Bay Area. I also very much want to thank my magnificent television teammates who've worked with me for many decades. They share my passion for nature, parks, and access. When my troubles began, they stepped up to fill in for me beyond the call of duty, and they performed with grace, talent, and dignity.
Not bad.
They are not just my colleagues, they are part of my family, whom I love, admire, and respect beyond words. Well, I've been doing this work here in the Bay Area for 40 years, and these terrific people have been with me in various roles for most of that time. I am, in every way, a very lucky guy. And so, as we end the 9th season of Open Road with this show, please go outside and enjoy these open spaces of ours, and do what you can to take care of them, expand them, and provide opportunities for everyone to explore them. For me, I'll continue to be out here however I am able, and I truly hope to see you sometime, somewhere, along one of these trails of ours and the open road.
For information about the Bay Area Ridge Trail or any of the places we visited in tonight's show, go to nbcbayarea.com/openroad.